really makes a man fall in love? Let's just skip all the nonsense and get to the science behind what actually makes a man fall in love. Hello, my name is Matthew Coast and welcome to my channel. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel to make sure you get more awesome videos that I have on topics on dating and relationships. Okay, so number one thing that makes men fall deeply in love with you is something that I talk about called investment. And the way that you want to think about investment is like with a TV show. So if you've ever been invested in a TV show, meaning like you watched a bunch of the TV show, maybe you read about it, maybe you talked to your friends about it, maybe you think about it a whole lot, maybe you got kind of emotionally invested in it. What ends up happening is you want to know more about what's going on. You want to start learning more about the characters. You start actually falling in love with the characters. You want to know what they're going to do and how they're going to react and kind of the different intricate things that are going on with the characters. You start to value the show and the characters more and more, and it becomes really important to you. And that is how investment works with everything. And so you want a guy to be invested in you. If you're doing all the work, he doesn't have a chance to start feeling that way about you. He doesn't have a chance to get emotionally tied up in you and care about you in that way. So instead, what you want to do is you want to allow him to invest in you mentally, emotionally, financially, from a time standpoint, an energy standpoint, any kind of standpoint where he's investing in you in some way. You want to allow him to do that. If he wants to give to you, if he wants to help you, if he wants to go out of his way for you, let him. I know a lot of times women have some things that come up for them about whether they feel like they're enough or like, they need to do a bunch of other stuff too. Just let guys invest in you if they want to do that. It's a much better way to do it, right? You don't need anything from him, right? If you're like most women who are in our community, you don't need him to do stuff for you. You don't need him to invest in you, but let him do it anyway if you want him to fall in love with you. And let's keep going. Number two is emotional vulnerability. So I want you to remember this phrase: expression creates connection. Expression creates connection. So expressing emotion, expressing passion, expressing excitement. Anytime he's expressing his emotion, it's a really powerful thing, and it creates a deeper, stronger connection between the two of you. So most people, if you talk to most people out there, what are they doing? They're just looking to talk about themselves. They're waiting to tell you their own opinions about everything, and they're just trying to impress other people all the time. They aren't really listening. They don't really care. They're just waiting for their own turn to talk. Don't be that person. There are times for your own self-expression, obviously. And there are times when you need to get out of your own ego, get out of your own way, and let others express themselves. So instead, what you want to do is you want to get curious, ask questions, get him talking about what excites him, what he's passionate about, and when and how he feels connected. Just ask him lots of different questions about those things. If you want him to fall in love, remember to let him express his emotion. Expression creates connection. Remember that. Number three, shared emotional moments. So this is how to connect with a guy and make him fall in love. This is what men need in order to deeply fall in love with you. So think about this one in terms of an emotional bank account. So the more that's in there, the more that you can have fights, the more you can have disagreements, the more problems can come up between the two of you. And it's really not that big of a deal because your emotional bank account is full. And if you take some away from it, it's no big deal because it's full. It's filled with emotion, right? If the emotional bank account is empty, then even the smallest things could completely destroy and derail everything that's going on between you and a man. So how do you keep the bank account, the emotional bank account full? How do you do it? What a lot of women do, and I've seen this over and over and over again, I've had it done to me by women in the past. A lot of women will try to trigger a man through fights and arguments and little pokes and messing with him and all that kind of stuff, so that she can see that he cares, so that he shows that he cares through emotion. But this only removes money from the emotional bank account. Instead, do things that add money to the emotional bank account as much as you can. Things like shared positive experiences. This is really, really important. They did a study with the Relationship Research Institute where they found that at minimum, you want to have 5 times as many positive shared emotional moments with your man if you want to stay together. And ideally, it's a lot higher than that, but that's the very minimum, is having 5 times as many positive emotional moments together on average over time than negative moments. And so these are like having moments of fun, of positivity, of love, of connectedness, of romance, and all that kind of sensuality, that kind of stuff. The next one is shared difficult experiences. So having moments of challenge or growth or suffering or adversity that just normally come up through normal life. I was in the military, and I went through some really difficult military training. It was called BUDS, and it was like this really difficult military training. It's like the hardest training in the world, they say. And so like when we got out of there, a lot of the guys, we were like best friends together. And then we went off to Iraq, right? And fought in Iraq. And I know these are like extreme cases, but it just goes to show you like what they've found, and they've done studies on this, is that people that come back from moments like that, like wars like that, they come back and they have stronger bonds between each other that a lot of times last forever. And so you don't want to completely run away from adversity whenever, like a lot of people, they think that everything needs to be flowers and rainbows all the time. But it doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way, right? You're normal people. You have ups and downs in life. It's like a heartbeat, you have ups and downs. And the more that you experience both of those things together, the deeper of a bond that you share together with each other. And then the other one is remembering emotional experiences together. And this is actually the fastest way to start creating that emotional bank account and filling it up and connecting with each other in that way. And really, that's just talking about emotional experiences that he's had or that you've had. Anytime you've had emotional experiences separately and you start talking about them, and he starts feeling those and feeling like you're sharing that moment together where you're experiencing these emotions together just because you're remembering them. And actually, you can do this with anything, anytime you want to. But if you start talking about those things and start talking about emotional moments together that you've had separately, but you're talking about it together, he can actually feel those and feel a lot more connected to you. And it can be a really, really powerful thing to do. So number four is emotional polarity. So this makes him feel that passion, that desire, that feeling like he's really the man for you, like you're meant for each other, like you just want to tear each other's clothes off and make love to each other, right? And this is really the masculine feminine dance. This is the part that we're going to talk about. There's other parts of polarity that we can talk about, but the main one is masculine feminine polarity. So think about it like two opposite sides of a magnet. Even, when you pull the magnets apart, they want to come back together. And that's emotional polarity, right? That's a lot of women fall into this trap of just trying to like agree with a man or trying to just be like a man, or like whatever he says, she becomes like a yes puppet, yes, okay, yeah, because she really likes him and she wants him to like her as well. But really what you need is that polarity, that difference. It's that difference that actually creates that passion. If you guys become like where everything's the same between you, and you've probably seen couples out there that are like that, the passion for each other dies, and then they become just like friends. And they're just friends, but there's none of that like really like chemistry there anymore. It all died because they're too much alike now. And so you want to keep that that polarity there, right? Being the same just makes you boring. And if you don't know, you can't bore a man into falling in love with you. It doesn't work very well. I've seen lots of women try it. So instead, what you want to do is you want to step into your feminine. So practice getting into your feminine and just do it as a habit. A lot of women sometimes have work where they are getting into their masculine a lot, and just come home and practice, get into a ritual of getting into your femininity. And what I've heard from a lot of women is this really de-stresses them and makes them feel happier and more excited about life, and just, more flowing, and just really makes them feel good about themselves. Another thing to do is push him into the masculine role. Anytime you can push him into a masculine gender role is a really, really beneficial and powerful thing for you to do. I know there's a lot of people like poo-pooing and hating on like gender roles and stuff. And, some of the time for good reason, but there's a lot of really beneficial things that women get from being in the female gender role, right? And it's that men will take care of things, men will lead, men will do all these things that a lot of women want. And so my suggestion is that you let him do that, and even push him into those roles anytime you get a chance to do that. And then lastly, you want to reward his masculine behavior. So anytime he's being masculine, just compliment him on that. Just reward him for it. Just, give him a reward, give him a kiss, give him, a hug, give him, something, a compliment, anything to reward that behavior so that he feels like he wants to continue doing it more and more and more. Then number 5 we have is believe in him. So this is, again, we are connecting to a man's heart where this is what he needs in order to fall in love. So this shows him that you have his back. You're on his side more than almost anyone else that he has in his entire life. So a lot of women, they want to change a man. They're like, oh, I'm going to be so amazing to this man that he's going to want to change himself to be with me. And that's the wrong way to go. If you can't love a man for who he is right now, you shouldn't be with him. Instead, what you want to do is you want to connect with a man and show him that you have his back, that you really believe in him. Deep down, almost every man has at least a little trickle of insecurity. And some men, and maybe even most men, actually have a giant waterfall of insecurity just rushing out. And either way, whether it's small or it's big, they're probably hiding it because that's what we're taught to do since we were childhood, and for good reason. And you're coming along and showing him that you really believe in him, that you've got his back, that it doesn't matter that he's got these insecurities and these problems or whatever. You believe in who he is and what he's doing. And instead of trying to fix him, just accept him and love him for who he is, but believe in the vision of where he's going. So that's what it is. You're accepting him for who he is, right? You're not falling in love with his potential. You're loving him for who he is right now, but you're seeing where he's trying to go. And you're like, yeah, you got this. You got this, homeboy. You got this, homie. Maybe you probably don't call him homie or homeboy. Hopefully it's like boopy poo or I don't know. We'll just keep those. We'll keep those pet names for later. Like I said, if you can't accept and love him for who he is right now, you're probably with the wrong guy. And but you also want to see him for who he wants to be one day and connect the two together so that he really feels like you've got his back more than anybody else out there. So number six, there's 7 of these things. We're talking about what a man needs in order to really fall in love. And we're going in depth in this. So I hope you absolutely love it because I love this stuff. All right. So number 6 is partnership. If you've never ever traveled before, I highly recommend it. I'm actually traveling right now. If you look up here, there's actually a couple of drawings of hijas, and I'm in Mexico right now, right? So I'm just traveling. I'm in Playa del Carmen, and it's really cool. Sometimes I'll go and travel, and I'll like go off and I'll meet people, and they'll be like the coolest people I've met in a long time. We'll like have all these stories to share, and then I find out they're like going in the same place as me, and so we end up like traveling together, and we get along really well, and it's like this amazing memory that I have of these people that I'm traveling with. And it's really, really great. And this is actually something that's similar, but with a romantic partner, right? So this is partnership here. So a lot of men and women come to relationships and they're just like trying to get their needs met. This was actually me when I was a lot younger. It was like I thought we had to fight to get our needs met, right? And they try to do it through force or manipulation or tips or tricks or whatever, right? And this doesn't really work long term. It only makes him want to manipulate you back or play games back or fight back, or at worst, it actually makes them want to leave. And instead, what you want to do is focus on partnership. So you want to ask yourself questions like these, like, are your values actually aligned, right? So what do you value in your life? And are those things like in the same path as each other, right? If you're really, really valuing personal growth and you meet him and he doesn't care about growth at all, he just wants to sit around and watch TV all day, you're probably not going to be a good match. Even if you hang out and he's got a great personality and you think he's really funny, it's probably still not a match, because the things that are really important to you are going to make it so that you're growing in completely different directions. And so you want to find out if your values are aligned. Another is, are there any big red flags? The red flags that you ignore now will be the reason why you break up in the future. Remember that. The red flags that you ignore now will be the reason that you break up in the future. So are there any things that you haven't talked about that need to be talked about? And so it's usually those things that you're missing. And you want to find those out soon. You want to find those out in the first few dates. That way you are not getting overly invested in this guy and falling in love with this guy and connecting with this guy in all these different ways. And then you find out that he has some kind of crazy red flag that you don't want to be with. And a lot of times people can hide these, which is why you're looking for consistency over time. And then also, do you fully accept each other's weirdness? So believe it or not, we're all a little weird, right? We all have weirdness going on. I'm weird. You're probably weird. Maybe you're not weird. Are you weird? I don't know. But we all usually, almost everybody's got some weirdness going on, right? And so, have you shown him your weirdness, and can you accept his weirdness? That's what you want to look at, because it's that weirdness that we have that really we start connecting with and we start loving each other for. It's not all the things where we act like we're perfect and all that kind of stuff. It's when we kind of let things go and we show off like the strange parts of our character and the weird things that we have going on. That's what we really start falling in love with each other for. It's our flaws, our vulnerabilities that we fall in love with each other for, not our pretending like we're perfect or the mask that we put on or anything like that. And so number seven is being high value. This is one of the things that really make a guy fall in love. Why would being high value make a guy allow himself to fall in love with you? Because men want to be with a catch, someone that they feel like they're lucky to be with, probably just like you do, right? You want to feel like the guy that you're with is a catch. You want to be proud of him. You want to feel like you did a good job and you have somebody great in your life, and you want to feel like you're lucky to be with him. Well, he wants the same thing. Most men want the same thing. And the more a man values you, the more that he'll feel like you're different than all the other women that he's ever met out there. He'll feel like he wants to take you off the dating market and commit to you and be with you and allow himself to fall in love with you, which is one of the most important things, because most of us are walking around and we've got this shell up, right? These walls up. and we're looking over the wall and we're like, is it okay? Is it okay to, let go of this and open the door and, let somebody in? And a lot of the time we don't. And so if a guy sees that you're high value, he's more likely to take that risk. If he feels like you're like all the other women out there, he's going to be like, why would I want to let down my walls for this woman? And so you want to be high value. He'll put more energy and effort to being with you and to do more things in order to make sure that you're together. Most women come to me and they're actually trying to do the opposite. They're trying to prove their value to a man, like, oh, I want you to see my value, right? Because you want him to value you. But that's actually the opposite of what you need to do, because if you're trying to prove that you're valuable, you're only proving that you really don't believe it. Men want a woman who believes it, who knows her value, who's confident in her value. And so this is what you want to do instead. You want to believe in your own value. So the way that you do this is change your self-image. I do this in my program, The Forever Woman, just going through the affirmations in that program over and over and over again. It'll change the way that you look at yourself. It'll change the way that you see yourself. If you go through these videos, I'm doing a lot of the same things in these videos. So if you watch my live streams and my videos, what you'll notice is that your mind will just start changing and you'll start seeing yourself as more of a valuable woman than you did before. Number 2 is you want to position yourself in value. So, so that you naturally do things that make him feel like you're a valuable woman. So for instance, abundance dating is one of those things. You don't have to do it, but it can completely change everything for you. And I recommend that you do it, because doing the whole scarcity dating thing is it's a bad way to go. It doesn't work very well. Number 3 is communicating your value. So setting boundaries, setting standards, letting him know what you're attracted to, and letting him know that you're attracted to him if he behaves in a way where he's valuing you and treating you well. And if he doesn't, pulling yourself away from that and only allowing men into your life who see your value, who treat you like $1 million and not like you're $5. If you connect with a man in this way, he'll feel like you are the high value woman who deserves to have an amazing man in her life. He'll want to step up to the plate. He'll want to be a better man for you, he'll believe that you deserve to be cherished. I'm just going to do a recap real quick about all the different things we're talking about. So we're talking about 7 things that make a man fall deeply in love with you. Thing number 1 is investment. You want him to be invested in you. You don't need a man to do things for you and go out of his way and all that kind of stuff. But if you want him to fall in love with you, let him do it. Number 2 is emotional vulnerability. Remember, expression creates connection. Let him express his emotion to you. Number 3 is shared emotional moments. Remember the emotional bank account. You want it to be high. That way, when challenges come up, it's no big deal and it's not devastating your relationship, because you have so much money in the emotional bank account. Number 4 is emotional polarity. So you want to have that polarity like 2 magnets, because when you pull them apart, they snap right back together, and you want him to feel like he wants to be with you and miss you and want to be around you and can't wait to see you again and kiss you all over your body because he just loves you so much, right? That's what you want. That's what you want. It's a good thing. Number 5 is believe in him. So you want to show him that you've got his back more than anyone else in the world, because a lot of people don't have anybody that believes in them. Number 6 is partnership. So you want to show him that you are on his side. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is making sure that everything's aligned and that you guys actually do have a partnership that's growing in the same direction. Number 7 is being high value, because the more a man values you, the more that he'll want to be in a real relationship with you. The more he'll want to take you off the dating market and have you all to himself. And so that's what you're looking for. So